So this next section is all about making the quality system work for you. And one of the important concepts throughout the whole of this training is really to appreciate the quality system as a holistic system, but also appreciate it as a business tool. And it really should work for all of those that have to interact with it on a daily basis. And it should really deliver positive value for the three customers of the QMS, namely customer experience, regulatory compliance, and business health. So your role as a lead really is all about connecting the dots. So in terms of the QMS, implementing it, maintaining and developing it is all about making the correct decisions, and the correct decisions based on the correct data with the input from the correct stakeholders. And it's all about seeing the fine detail, but also simultaneously seeing the big picture in terms of how the quality system operates within your organization. And primarily it's all about all of the business, showing up and taking action in terms of their impact on quality, how they interact with the quality system, and how your quality organization can help them deliver their goals to meet your customer needs. So in terms of a process, I'll cover a process I call the 3Ds. It covers data, direction, and decision. And basically, I'll cover these each in turn. So in terms of data, you're going to need to access with the correct data, quality data. We covered that in a previous session. As covered previously, that data needs to be checked in terms of its integrity and its validity, because it's really important, because you're actually making key decisions in your business based on that data. And really, again, you need to identify owners who are accountable for managing that data. So they could be non-conformance numbers, scrap, they could be open CAPA numbers, any form of quality data. You need to make sure that data is available, it's true, and actually an individual within your organization is responsible for collating it and compiling it and feeding it into the review system. Ideally, you should automate this in terms of automation of data, in terms of how it's generated and presented, because obviously automation will remove a number of potential areas you can corrupt the data during the whole process. And really, I encourage you to leverage some of the eQMS systems that are available now that will actually automatically generate that data or even present that data to quality system management review, such that you don't require to pull it out manually. You don't require it to be transcribed from data sheets into other data sheets. It will all be automatic in terms of how it's pulled from the system and presented to you during the meeting. Now, having data on its own doesn't really help. You really need to decide the direction you want to take your organization. And you as the leader have to decide what's important and which metrics you're going to focus on and track and obviously try to influence with activities. And the metrics will be a mixture of things. There'll be items that are directly related to the output of the QMS you want to see, and we've covered that in previous sessions. And there will be a degree of metrics that really measure the transactional mechanics of the quality system. And very often the regulatory bodies want to see this, and very often those metrics aren't directly linked to the output of the QMS, but they just give a measurement that the quality system is actually working and running. So you as a leader are going to have to develop some true customer-centric performance metrics, and some aspects of these metrics are worth considering. The first one is often better to be moving slowly in the right direction than very quickly in the wrong direction. Related to that, it's often more effective to be moving slowly in the right direction than actually setting some unachievable goal you've got no likelihood of actually meeting. And really all the metrics should be linked to the customer needs or the ability of your quality system to deliver on those needs. And as I said, there will be a degree of metrics that are actually measuring the mechanics of the quality system, such as the number of CAPA, the number of non-conformances, the number of change orders. And generally regulatory bodies like to see that you're actually measuring these aspects. But in terms of the customer perception, the customers don't care about the number of CAPA, the number of non-conformances and change orders. They really don't care about those at all, because they're not linked to the output of the quality system that they deem value. But as I said, there will be a mixture of metrics that will include these these types of metrics. But generally, you should focus on metrics that really are measuring the ability of your QMS to deliver value to the customer. So as a leader, I encourage you to create a dashboard for your metrics. And really, again, the metrics should be linked to something the customer deems important. Those metrics should be widely visible. And really, they should be simple enough for everybody across the organization to understand that metric and be able to articulate it. So on the right hand of the slide here, we've got two metrics. One is relatively poor and the other one's better. So the first metric, the number of change orders per month, per shift, per headcount, divided by the days in the month. So yeah, it's a metric, you can measure it, but it's a bit unclear what it actually means in terms of what it's trying to drive. Below that, you've got a slightly better metric in terms of the average number of non-conformance per 100 production lots. So that's much better. It's much simpler. It's basically how many for every 100 production lots, how many non-conformances did you get? So basically, it's a much clearer metric for the organisation to understand. So spend a lot of time trying to drive these metrics in terms of making sure they're simple, everybody understands them, and they also individual understand how their daily activities can contribute to moving this metric in the right direction. So this is an example of a metric dashboard you can construct. So on the left-hand side, you've got the different customers of the quality system, the end customer, regulator, business, financials, and some metrics around basically the execution of the quality system. Then you've got the metric, and then the next column is really, I'd encourage you to explain why that metric is important. And the next column is really articulating what that metric is. And as I said, very often it's more important to be moving in the right direction than having massive leaps forward. So in this dashboard, you're sort of rewarded for moving in the right direction and penalised for sort of going backwards or staying in the same position. And this metric dashboard, and I encourage you to incorporate some degree of colour coding so people can look at the dashboard and they understand where they are and whether you're generally moving in the right direction. And then some aspect of the dashboard where you roll it up into a sort of a general score that everybody can look at the dashboard and get a feeling of, are you moving in the right direction? And again, you don't want hundreds of metrics, you want them very simple. And again, they really should be linked to something your end customer of the quality system deems to be important. So this section is really, with the dashboard, is working out which direction you want to move your organization, which direction do you want to move the quality system in terms of where you are now and the future. Now, we touched briefly in previous sessions in terms of the future of quality management, and it helps going back and just sort of revisiting that in the context of this session. So how quality management looks in the future really does depend on who you ask. So if you ask individuals that are very closely aligned with applications such as EQMS and big data and AI, you get one position, and if you ask others, you get a different position. So in order to cut through this, one of the activities the Swedish Institute for Quality did in 2019 is basically they got a large group of quality professionals, quite a broad group of quality professionals together at a conference, and started to explore what are the future themes of quality management, looking through to a dateline of about 2030. So it was in the sort of a medium time frame in terms of what would quality management look like, how would quality professionals be operating, what would the QMS look like, and really what would the landscape look like in terms of quality management in the future. And as an output from the conference, they came up with five broad themes. And it's quite interesting, though, of these five broad themes, there was no discussion of, a limited discussion of AI and technology and Quality 4.0. They were quite broad themes in terms of where areas they felt quality management would move into. And the first one was around systems thinking. They felt that quality management would move more and further into a more systems approach and looking at the quality organization as a system and the QMS as a system. And we've obviously covered that in a previous session. They also felt there would be a movement in terms of this balance between how you maintain control within organizations versus you encourage an environment that flourishes in terms of innovation and new ideas. And we've covered that as well in a previous session. The third area is in terms of a broader look at quality in terms of the impact on the environment and the whole impact of the end-to-end supply chain that quality may sort of move into in terms of its impact on the environment. So the whole sustainability of supply chain and quality management's contribution to making sure that organizations are sustainable in terms of how they manage quality and the output of their businesses. And the fourth area was more sort of a wider discussion on, I call it the greater why. So basically, they need to understand, what was the general purpose and what was the bigger purpose, the greater purpose for managing quality in terms of quality professionals, endeavouring to improve quality. And we sort of touched on that in terms of the culture of quality and that sort of requirement in previous sessions. And the fifth area was really around the ability for organisations to be more flexible, to build a flexible and agile organisation. And really, they felt that the quality management would move into more into that area in terms of enabling organizations to be more nimble. And we've talked about that in terms of how you organize your quality organization in terms of embedded it and integrating it within your business to sort of enhance that flexibility. Now, it's possible to actually take the five broad outcomes of the conference and overlay them with the three areas we've covered in previous sessions in terms of people, process, and technology. So I won't go through some of the detail in here, but it is possible to actually tease out some of the more specifics of how would you make changes to your organization in terms of people, process, and technology to really sort of preempt some of the changes that the conference felt would happen to quality management in terms of those five broad areas. So I would encourage you to go through some of the detail, because it does give some examples of how you could start positioning your organization to meet the sort of changes that the conference felt was coming in terms of the way that quality management was going to change over the medium term. And the final D is decision. So obviously you've got the data, you decide which direction you want to take the organization and the quality system. At some point, you've actually got to make a decision on whether you feel that a metric is good enough and basically you're just going to monitor it, or actually you need to do some sort of intervention and actually sort of interact and invest resources and time and effort to move that metric in the direction you want it to do. And you need to make key decisions based on that data, and obviously with the direction that you've decided as a management team that you want to take the organization. And really, I would encourage you to use the quality planning process that we covered in that previous module, and how you derive quality objectives that sort of cascade down through your organization, that are linked back to your overall quality policy that you expect, your expectations of your quality organization in terms of meeting your customers' expectations and needs. And the key forum for making decisions really is a really important forum. It's quality system management review. It is actually a regulatory requirement in one of the number of the standards and the regulations, and it's a key forum of how you as a quality organisation and how as a broader organisation you make quality decisions based on the direction you want to take. And it's not just a compliance regulatory obligation. Really, that forum really is in essence is a business improvement forum, and really you need to look at that session as a true business tool to actually move your business forward. And whilst you may have a formal QSMR that happens at intervals defined by your procedures, and they may be quarterly, yearly, or twice a year. But I do encourage you to cascade forms of this QSMR down through your organisation with greater cadence in terms of how frequent they are, but also how detailed they look at the data in terms of the aspects and the granularity of their data. So you could have a QSMR that happens twice a year, but many organisations have an equivalent meeting monthly where they look into the quality data in a bit more detail. And they may have even subgroups in terms that look at aspects of the quality system in terms of the subsystems, and concentrating on those areas such as CAPA or non-conformance or audit. So really, I encourage you to look at quality system management review very broadly, even though the regulations will say that you have to do it at intervals, and very often it's looked upon through the eyes of doing it, say, twice a year to meet those obligations. Really see it as a more of a scalable process down through the organisation to really get the data in front of the right individuals to make the right decisions for your customers. So the next couple of slides really some tips for QSMR in terms of the history and experience of what works well. The key one really is you do need to involve all functions. Really, the quality system crosses the whole of the business, and if this forum just covers quality, then you're really missing a trick in terms of getting those different stakeholders as part of the process. And then if it just involves quality, it becomes a very internal, you're driven perspective, and you're not getting all those viewpoints, and at worst, you're undermining the whole system because it's very insular. And most quality system reviews involve other stakeholders such as operations and R&D. But really, there are other areas you really should consider, such as human resources, because obviously your quality system cannot run without people. Finance, it can't run without money. Information technology, ditto. The technological framework that underpins a lot of organisations, and stakeholders such as marketing. Are they in attendance? So they have a direct impact in how your customers are satisfied and how you understand the needs of your customers. So really, think quite broadly in terms of the number of functions that form part of this quality system management review. And really, because what you're trying to ask more broadly is the quality system meeting all of your customer needs. So really, you really should endeavour to make sure that if any function can contribute and in ways that you could better deliver to your customer, really they need to be part of that session. And many organisations don't think this broadly in terms of the attendance. Very often it's very a quality organisation driven session. Another important aspect is really, as a quality leader, you've got to explain to the group the power they have. You explain to them the purpose of the meeting. It's not just a regulatory requirement. As I said, it's a real business process in terms of real power to change the business. They have real power to change the QMS and basically move the business in the right direction. And also explain to the attendees, why they're there, the contribution they need to make, and the importance of agreeing and allocating resources. So basically, this is the forum with your stakeholders and your business leaders within your organisation, join hands to actually make the key decisions of how you're going to move the quality system, and ditto your ability to satisfy customers going forward in terms of contribution of your organization. So this isn't just a talking shop. This is where key decisions are made, and really you've got to get alignment in this meeting in terms of the direction you want to take the quality system. Now, very often quality system management review sessions are very long deck, and there's lots of data in there. But one of the dangers is there's so much data, there's no decisions, there's no clear evidence of what data was presented, why it was presented, what was the clear conclusion of the data, and what are you going to do about it in terms of making changes or activities to change those metrics going forward. So really take a step back from your quality system management review decks and make sure that there is a degree of structure, and it's not just lots and lots of PowerPoint slides. And really it should be focusing on areas that need help and not focusing on areas that are in control. Really areas that are in control that are moving in the right direction, really you don't have to have a in-depth discussion. You really should be focusing on areas that you've got concerned around. And related to that, really do not be scared about putting negative data in the presentations because you think an auditor will see. I know many organisations are really reluctant to put anything in the quality system management review deck that is in red or is looking is as if you're not in control. But really, you're missing a trick here that defeats the point of the purpose of the meeting. It is to flush out those areas you need to have honest and open discussions around in terms of allocating resources and effort to make them better. And auditors expect that, so they will expect you to have areas that aren't green, that are red, that you need to be having those sort of conversations. And really, you need to have an active conversation and really about, what is the data telling you? And there will be differences of opinion and arguments and bumps in the road as you have those meetings. But the whole purpose of the meeting is collectively as a leadership team to actually get to a consensus in terms of the quality system, in terms of, the quality system management really is very much something you're part of and you contribute to, rather than something that's just done to you, twice a year. So we really use this forum as a real key business process to drive good conversations, to make key decisions about your quality system. Now, you can have a great conversation and you can have lots of discussion, you can decide lots of great things, but really you need to make sure they're documented. The quality system management review deck is always the window into the quality system, is one of the first documents that the auditor, the regulator, the inspector wants to see, and it is a window into your quality system. And these documents, however you present them in the meeting, will be closely reviewed by others. So when you collate these documents, make sure you review them closely through their eyes. Do they tell the right story? Are they clear? Does the data support your conclusions? What actions are you doing? What actions are you prioritizing in terms of your effort? So make sure it tells a good story of where you are. It doesn't have to be a perfect story. You can obviously articulate areas that you think are weak and you need to work on, but really make sure that when you read it, it looks as if you're presenting your organization as an organization that's using all of the data sets and having those good conversations to drive the quality system to a better position. So in this section, as before, we're going to step through the maturity model and just tease out some aspects that you can make in terms of moving an organization through the different maturity levels, and what do organizations look in terms of the different levels of how their quality system operates in terms of going from unaware right up to maturity. So an organisation sitting at the bottom in terms of unaware, their quality system simply not working for them. The metrics that they are measuring have no relationship to something the aspects the customers deem important, and very often the quality organisation is very focused upon measuring itself and its own activity. And very often the metrics that are measured are either they're not measured at all, or basically they're moving in the wrong direction in terms of aspects the customers do feel is important. So, very often customer complaints are heading in the wrong direction, field actions, and very often the internal audit process is failing to pick up these issues internally prior to external inspection. And again, to move forward, you need to actually identify better, truer KPIs that are actually linked to the direction you want to move in. And organisations sitting unaware very often have a very poor ability to diagnose problems and implement corrective actions. And very often their corrective actions are ineffective. And an organisation sitting at this sort of level, basically, very often the new products are launched late or not at all. And very often individuals' performance goals are disconnected to the higher objectives of the business in terms of what the business is needing to achieve. And really, to move forward, as I said, you need to start deriving better metrics and making a better link between what people are doing in terms of their activities and making those metrics move in the right direction. So to move to the next level, really, you need to start sort of building an inventory of metrics of what you've got in terms of focusing on, which ones are actually measuring things that are important, and again, translating those KPIs into meaningful goals for individuals and groups, and activities within functions that will actually move the organisation in the right direction. So an organisation that's moved on to where has moved on slightly, and there's also an understanding. There's a de-link between the metrics that are being measured and the outcomes of the quality system you're trying to drive. But very often the organisation is still largely, inwardly looking and measuring itself in terms of a lot of the metrics and KPIs. Very often an organisation aware is basically. And many of the metrics are stable, but they're not really improving. So complaints and field actions aren't getting any worse, but conversely, they're not getting any better. And very often, the internal audit process is not catching things that internal inspectors are catching when they come to your plant. And an organisation unaware is actually able to investigate problems. But very often, the corrective actions that are implemented aren't very as effective as they expected. And whilst new products are launched on time, very often the development process is very slow and onerous in terms of it's not very rapid in terms of delivering products to meet customer expectations, and generally individuals' goals are still disconnected to the sort of broader direction you want to take the organisation in terms of. There's very often a de-link between what you're asking individuals to do and actually how that's going to contribute to the bigger why and the bigger direction that you want your business to go in. So to move your organisation to the next stage, really you should be sort of, beefing up the internal audit process to make it better in terms of uncovering potential problems, investing in investigative techniques in terms of making sure your corrective actions are appropriate and then address the root causes of problems. And we've covered some of those aspects in previous sessions. And really the streamlining the product development process such that it's more effective and efficient and less costly. And really, again, to realign individuals' goals with the overall objectives of your organisation. And once an organisation moves into learning, it's really becoming more effective and efficient in terms of how it's running the quality system. Metrics have a real direct link to the outputs you want to achieve in terms of improving compliance and customer satisfaction, and largely, but not always, in terms of financial profitability of the business. Key outputs of the quality system are improving, so complaints are moving in the right direction, field actions are moving in the right direction. The internal audit process is better at detecting problems prior to inspection, and your ability, an organisation sitting at learning, is getting better at investigating problems and applying corrective actions in a more effective manner. And an organisation at learning is getting better at launching products more quickly, understanding customer needs, and the process is becoming a bit slicker. And individuals' goals are actually better connected with what you're trying to actually achieve. And really, an organisation at learning, the quality system is beginning to work for you, and there's less of the firefighting and more of the continuous improvement sort of ethos within the organisation as the organisation sort of runs the QMS. And to move on to mastery, really the organisation needs to look at all of the aspects of the quality system in terms of the customers. And very often the last one that's appreciated is the ability of the quality system to modulate the financial success of the business. So that's usually the last one that gets a lot of focus, and really explore performance that will actually encourage the ability to collectively and cross-functionally collaborate to meet these some of the challenges and the requirements of the QMS to deliver value to your customers. And really, once you add mastery, an organisation is really highly effective and efficient. All of the performance measures are directly linked to important aspects of the customer deems to be important. The aspects of the quality system are moving in the right direction in terms of complaints that are moving in the right direction, field actions, etc. And this is a result of investigation of problems is far better, and corrective actions are far more powerful and more effective. And basically, the organisations understands what are the root cause of issues, and then very often what tools need to be applied when in terms of investigation and root cause analysis. An organisation sitting in the mastery is very effective at understanding of the customer needs and translating those needs into new products very quickly, very often with very superior performance in the field. And in terms of individual goals, there's a real connection between individual performance goals and the direction where you want to move the organisation. And you're beginning, an organisation in mastery is actually beginning to have more collective goals in terms of encouraging different stakeholders and departments to work together collectively in terms of delivery of expectations and projects that will have a collective goal for the organisation by acting collaboratively together to deliver that goal. And once you're at mastery, really the organisation doesn't stop there. There's no sitting back on your laurels. Basically, there really an organisation at mastery really understands this is ongoing. There needs to be an unrelenting pursuit of understanding what the customer wants and actually needs, and translating those needs into individual and collective actions to meet them. So, in summary, in this model, the QMS will not improve through no action. You need to have some active effort and endeavour to actually move it in the right direction. However, if the effort is clear, focused, and structured, it will improve compliance. It will improve your financial performance, and will help grow your business through the sale of safe and effective goods and services. So, the bottom line is basically your QMS will take effort and energy and passion to move it in the right direction, but you will be rewarded if you spent enough time and effort to do so.